Today we're gonna take out the oil, let that drain for like the day. Usually takes a while. I have a space heater underneath the bike just to heat up the oil. It's getting a little cold. It's like November up here in Toronto, Canada. Fucking leaves suck, but leaves fucking suck. We're gonna take the oil out. It's nice and warm here, so the oil should flow out pretty easily. I'm gonna work on taking the controls out of the front. We'll see how it goes. See how much time we have. Don't know if I'll get to taking out the engine today, but we'll see. All right.
Wrenching it up, gonna wrench it up.
Welcome to Saturday's Wrench.
Wrench.
To drain the oil, we got to take off this bolt under here. That should let it flow. And then I have this trusty old basin under here. Got my trusty mechanic gloves on. Feel like a referee in the UFC. I got my trusty socket set here today, so that's good. This bolt under here is a 3/4 inch. A good tip that a mechanic taught me is that since the bolt's underneath the bike, sometimes you get screwed up, like you don't know which way to twist it, to loosen it. What I like to do sometimes is set up your socket before you put it upside down. So what you're doing is, you know, you want it to loosen. So I already set it up so that's going that way, so that I know that the only way it'll crank when I put it under here is, it might be a little tight, so just brace yourself and oh, there we go. She's a bleeding. Alright, you can see that's just draining. So we'll leave that for a little while. And now I'll take a little bit. This is the bolt that was underneath. You can see it. Just gonna work on getting the controls off now. The speedo intact, and then I'll move on to the hand stuff. Ideally I'd like to have get a stand, but I'm gonna order one soon. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna get these controls off, and then we'll be good to go. There we go. And these should just come right off. They're in pretty good shape. I imagine I can probably get something for these. I'm not gonna mess around taking them apart or anything. Just a few wires coming from the signal here for your lights, and then the speedo and tack. And there you go. Moving on with the front controls, I'm just going to start taking all the stuff off the bike here, off the front controls. And these just spin right out. Might be able to get something for these, not too sure, but we'll see. Is that a gorilla over there? There's a gorilla in the mist. So for the cable, I just loosened it all the way so it's out. You just want to pull it a bit so it comes off, and then pull this piece down a bit. It should just slide right out of there. There you go. Now we can fish that through. Could take this off, but I left it loose just for now. Definitely gonna have some wires in there, but I just left it loose for now just so I can keep everything connected. 10mm for these bolts here. I'm actually just going to remove the other mirror. Removing the bolts for the brake fluid reservoir, master cylinder. We'll get these off the bars, and then we'll get the bars off. I still have to bleed the brake fluid from the master cylinder, so I'm just going to let it just chill and dangle down for now, and then we'll handle that later. Not too many people know, but there's actually a steering lock underneath the steering column here. Just right in the middle of your stem here, there's a little keyhole, and you can actually lock the steering. I want to keep everything intact, but I'm just taking everything off, and I might be able to sell these. You never know. Get that out, and then just put it back together here so I know where everything is. So just for the throttle cable, you can see it's connected onto the hose there. See, it just fell off, but it's just this little pin it's connected. Now you can see how that works. As you pull on this, it pulls the cable. But that'll slide right off there. And for these controls, I guess I'll probably just leave them on, just to keep everything neat. All that's really left to do here is just to remove these bolts here, and then we'll get the front handlebars off. Crazy Joe!
Oh, it's all gone,
Crazy
man.
Joe!
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, he's doing a good job here.
Just removing the last bolt for the handlebars here.
Oh, right on.
It's going to start taking off. And there you go.
Oh, oops.
We lost something in the oil. That's alright. We'll fish that out later. So here you go. So here's the handlebars. And they're gone. The bike is looking pretty bare, Joe. As you can see now, the bike's looking pretty bare. It's coming along pretty good. We got all the front controls off. Moving on with the right crankcase cover, I'm going to spray each bolt with a little bit of liquid wrench. Try and get this cover off. I believe there is a oil filter back there. I tried to look up the manual, but I can't get Wi-Fi right now, so I actually have a PDF on my phone, but I don't know if this particular model has an oil filter or not, but I'm pretty sure it does. It should. I'm pretty sure it's back on this side. I have trusty impact driver here. These things are great. So the way they work is, in case you're not familiar, is basically when you hit it with the hammer on the back, it turns a little, so it helps to loosen. So these screws are impossible to get off without this. With each one, you want to just loosen a little. By loosening a little bit, just backing off a little by little each one, you're gonna reduce the chance of the case getting bent or cracked. So I'll just start and work my way around. Beauty. I just have to remove this so we can get the cover off. So just loosening this off, and then just take that out, and then we'll get the last screw here, right here. You want to load it up, so you want a firm grip on it, and then just hammer away at the back. Spot your hands. There we go. So you can see now I can get all the screws off. I'm just going to go around, and what I'm going to do is each one that I take off, I am going to just place a line. So I'm going to place one line at the top and one line at the bottom. So I know exactly what screw went where, and then so when I put it back, it'll go back exactly the same. Yeah, because you can see that you'll have different sizes of screws. So you want to make sure that you organize it so that they go back the same way. So that'll be the first on the bottom row. So I'll put that in a line on the bottom. And I just moved my oil pan enough out of the way that just in case one of these bolts fall, that they don't go lose it into the sea of oil. And I'll show you, once I'm finished, I'll show you how I'm organizing the bolts on the bottom. It's coming right off, and you're gonna get some oil because that's where oil lives. And that's looking fun. Look at that. I'm not finding an oil filter. I'm really gonna have to get the manual, but we're gonna work on the other side now. But yeah, that is your clutch, and nothing to it really. So this is how I set up my bolts here. So I know that This is the top row, and this is the bottom row. So these, I look at my case now and say, okay, those ones go along there and these ones go along here. So that's just a trick that a mechanic taught me just to stay organized, because you can see some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, and you just want to make sure you put back the right ones in the right order. I'm only just putting this back just to keep this from getting all lost. No, I only took this off because I want to see what was inside. So I'm just going to put the screws back, but just to have them in loose. The reason I wanted to loosen them because it's a lot easier to loosen them while the engine's in the frame here, while it's locked into the frame. If I try to do this on a bench, it might be a little bit of an adventure. I might be sliding around unless you have a proper stand that's like clamped down to the bench. Then I would recommend just loosening all the main bolts before you get it off the frame. So I put all the screws back in their right place. When you're doing this, I kind of made the mistake where I kind of didn't clean the ground off before I started putting my screws down. You just want to make sure that surface is clean, or you lay down a rag or something. I have this cardboard down here, but yeah, you don't want any, when you're putting them back, you don't want any dirt getting into the crankcase, because that's just no good. It's just gonna prevent it from forming a perfect seal, and if you get all the dirt and grime in there, and that's just no good for your engine. So I'm going to be taking this off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just putting them there as a placeholder. Just now they're loose, and when I get it off onto the bench, it'll be nice and easy to work with. So we're on the chain side of the engine now, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use some liquid wrench to help loosen the bolts here, and then we're going to take the cover off and take the sprocket out. Ooh, I just stripped that one out bad. Okay, so this one's pretty stripped. Same with this one, or sorry, this one down here. So I can't get these two off, which means I can't take the crank off, and I can't take the chain off, and I can't take the back wheel off. So I don't have a chain breaker tool, so what I'm going to do is just continue to loosen the bolts while I have the engine in the frame, and then that's probably going to wrap it up for today, since I'm just kind of stuck and I'm going to have to drill out these holes and figure out how to get those off. And that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you have any comments or advice for me, that'd be great. Just leave them in the comments there, and next time I'll try and get this engine out. The oil is pretty much all drained out now, and try and get this off, get the back wheel off, the front wheel off, and pretty soon they're just getting down to the chassis. Stay tuned for, I'm going to do a full overhaul on this engine. So thanks for watching, appreciate it. Please stay tuned, got lots more to do with the bike. It's going to be awesome when it's all put together. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Wrenching it up, gonna wrench it up, yeah. Wrench, wrenchity-roo, wrench-roo.